Greetings, viewers. This is me, ewaenruwa from a place to fear God, and welcome to another episode of Verse Breakdown. The verse that I'm going to be breaking down for you viewers today is Mark chapter 8, verse 38, where Jesus Christ had stated, "Whosoever therefore shall be ashamed of me and of my words in this adulterous and sinful generation, of him also shall the Son of Man be ashamed, when he cometh in the glory of his Father with the holy angels." Essentially, to be ashamed of Jesus Christ, or of course God Almighty in the end, has to do with you not really being proud of being who you are. In the old times, a Jew, now a Christian, a believer of Christ. You're not proud of being that. And more importantly, when persecution comes, when that idea is not supported any longer, when you're in a society where you defending your faith, living like a Christian isn't necessarily the most standardized idea, it doesn't really meet the standards that the society might set, you just fall before the enemy, you stumble, you're not proud to show people who you are, that you're a believer of Christ. And statements in the Bible help us understand this in more detail. For example, in Romans chapter 1 verse 16, St. Paul had stated, "For I am not ashamed of the gospel of Christ, for it is the power of God unto salvation to every one that believeth, to the Jew first, and also to the Greek." If we read Galatians chapter 6 verse 12, St. Paul had spoken of the opposite. "As many as desire to make a fair show in the flesh, they constrain you to be circumcised, only lest they should suffer persecution for the cross of Christ." And if we read Psalm chapter 40, in verses 9 and 10, David the psalmist, talking about how he himself was somebody who was not ashamed to proclaim how he was a Christian or a believer of God at the time, had stated, "I have preached righteousness in the great congregation. Lo, I have not refrained my lips. O Lord, thou knowest. I have not hid thy righteousness within my heart. I have declared thy faithfulness and thy salvation. I have not concealed thy loving kindness and thy truth from the great congregation." And there are examples in the Bible of people who were ashamed and people who weren't. For example, in 1 Kings chapter 22, there were 400 prophets who were like sycophants to King Ahab. And I'm using this example to prove that they were ashamed because they didn't want to show them that we really come from God. And because of that, go against King Ahab when King Ahab was supposed to do something that God wasn't necessarily in support of. But because they were ashamed, they were weak, they would just fall before King Ahab, who was almost kind of like an enemy of God in a sense because he was a very evil king, and they would just support him. Go to Ramoth Gilead, go to Jezreel, go wherever you want. God is with you, that kind of thing. There were sycophants, but Micaiah was not, and that was why he could prove to King Ahab that I don't care what you think, I don't care if you think I hate you, I'm only going to say what God actually plans on doing. Joseph was the exact opposite of those 400 prophets, because if we look at Genesis chapter 39 from verses 1 to 20, he told Potiphar's wife off when she wanted to lie with him and stuff that no, I don't believe in that nonsense. I am God's child, and he has set up principles being to not commit fornication and stuff like that. And I will carry those principles out and be proud and happy doing so, following Exodus chapter 20, one of those 10 commandments. And when we are like such ones, God and Jesus Christ, of course, don't forget about it. That was why Jesus Christ had told us that if we are ashamed of him, he will be ashamed of us. And also, working it the other way, it also happens vice versa. When we are ashamed of Jesus Christ, he won't talk good of us in the heavenly kind of way. But when we are proud to show people that we are Christians, it's not by going around telling everybody that, but we demonstrate, we act differently, we act the way God and Jesus Christ want us to act, then Jesus Christ will be proud and happy, rewarding us for our actions. And if we read Hebrews chapter 6 verse 10, God had told us that he is not unrighteous to forget our work and labor of love that we have shewed toward his name, and that we have ministered to the saints and do ministry. And that is where I think I can stop in discussing the verse Mark chapter 8 verse 38, which once again reads, "Whosoever therefore shall be ashamed of me and of my words in this adulterous and sinful generation, of him also shall the Son of Man be ashamed, when he cometh in the glory of his Father with the holy angels." If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to subscribe and click the notification bell to be notified when we make future videos just like this. And if you learned something new today, share it in the comments. We'd love to hear it. And if you have any new verse breakdowns that you want us to make, just drop them in the comment section below and maybe it'll make a new video in the future. Thank you for listening.